Tonight, we shall be dissecting, or we go ahead, continuing the conversation on dissecting the issues that has been brought up in respect of the campaign promises, manifestos, and the agenda of the PDP and the APC. Well, this is coming up based on the conversation that the two major political parties have been having. Well, there has been criticisms of one another, APC criticizing PDP, PDP criticizing APC, and in fact, they've touched on the agenda and their manifestos, and there are more areas to cover on that conversation, which we started yesterday, and the debate on which of the candidates of these parties own the best ideas to govern Nigeria, and that conversation continues tonight. Well, in the coming days, we'll look deeper and we'll take a very, very critical approach in dissecting some of these parties' manifesto. Tonight, we'll take the PDP and APC side by side and look at what they promised Nigeria and how they hope to achieve this. Tonight, I'm being joined by two gentlemen from the APC and the PDP. Mr. Ose Aneni is a member of the PDP Presidential Campaign Committee, specifically a member of the Strategic Communications Directorate of the PDP PCC. Thank you so much, Mr. Aneni, for coming on.
Glad to be here. And
Mr. Bolabakare is a member of the Directorate of Public Affairs of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much indeed, gentlemen, for coming on tonight.
I'm glad to be here.
Appreciate it. So let's get started. First and foremost, there has been back and forth between your parties, and I understand the reasons why, even more than what the criticism on the Labour Party. Of course, they are yet to release theirs officially, and NPP has released theirs. But the fact that the APC beats the PDP in 2015. And went ahead again to win the election in 2019. The PDP feel more the obligation to take over power from the APC, and perhaps that contestation that you've destroyed this country, we are trying to fix it, but you have done worse. These are some of the conversations that both parties have engaged in. But let's look at what the PDP and the APC stands for. For example, let's take a look at a summary of the Bola Tinubu agenda, what it stands for, as far as the 80-page document that he tagged a Renew Hope agenda for the nation. Yeah, it's an 80-page document which priorities include national security, the economy, agriculture, power, oil and gas, transportation, and education. This is what Bola Tinubu says he has in store for Nigeria. What about the PDP, Atiku Abubakar? He has a slogan, as one, we can get it done. He has a 5-point agenda manifesto, which includes security, economy, and prosperity, restructure the polity, provide qualitative education, restore the nation's fractured unity. These are some of the focus of the former vice president, who says he's supposed to run for this election again and win. Now, let's begin the conversation. And if you look at it, there we put some of these manifestos side by side, APC on one hand, PDP on the other hand, so you can have your eyes on both of the ideas and see for yourself what they mean. There are details of some of these issues. First and foremost, I'd like Mr. Bakari of the APC to tell us, the PDP has criticized your party that you have no genuine idea. In fact, they called it a copy and paste. It was, the PDP had said, you copied it from the idea from a Hope 1993. We had Mr. Dili Momodu here on one of the programs. I said, look, he was majorly part of that 1993 campaign. And most of what was captured in your manifesto are some of the things that were embedded in the MKO Abiola idea.
Oh, thank you, my brother. I'm glad to be here. The element of saying copy and paste. Thank God you mentioned his name, Dele Momodu. It's high time, as a Nigerian, I take time out to think about the person who's making the speech, because what you are drives what you are saying, because your intellect is what drives you. How come? How did you get to that level? because the word hope is being used. If you sleep this night, your hope is to wake up tomorrow morning. If you're not married, your hope is to get married and have kids. So that element of that word hope, if he doesn't know, he should go back and check the dictionary for the meaning of hope. And when it comes to a situation that he's telling the average Nigerian that, oh, it's copy and paste, what do you mean copy and paste? What is good is good.
Did your party borrow from OP 93 campaign manifesto?
There was no borrow anywhere. When it comes to semantics, when it comes to English, when it comes to building up a nation, we all know where we shy away from what we are supposed to do. The facts are there. Like right now, we're talking in terms of security. Everybody will say security is not it. We need to get it better. Pick on any caption at all. We can always do better. That is why in life, life is work in progress. The element of hope is the element that keeps people going. It's a language that is dynamic for a dynamic people, for a dynamic nation. I don't like castrating people. But for God's sake, what does a man know about manifestos? He was once a presidential candidate. He didn't make good. He didn't even get 5 votes.
You say he doesn't know anything about manifesto. This was someone who was on the ballot before.
For you to get on the ballot from your own party is an easy affair. You don't pay anything. Put it together, pay INEC, you get you registered.
Have you been on the ballot before?
Who?
You?
No. Because I choose to stay where I am and contribute my bit to the
nation. The reason why I was asking is that before you criticize someone who's been on the ballot for saying that what does he know about manifesto, that's why I asked you if you have been on the ballot yourself.
The simple thing is this. My kind of person would not come out in a game where I will lose. I am a winner. If I am set to come on the ballot, I am going to win because I will have gotten all my parameters right. And when we're talking in terms of, let's think in terms of this paper, we will call a manifesto. What has he done before? Let's look at his antecedents.
Who?
Dele Momodu.
No, why are you dwelling on Dele Momodu? I said what he said, and I'm asking you.
No, I'm telling you directly that the element of hope is a word. It's a word that means work in progress.
That's what your party stands for.
That little wonder, we are the progressives. We keep moving from good to better, from better to best.
All right. Let me allow Mr. Osaneni to comment. I'd like you to, because I'm still on the surface, so before we get deep into the matter. But let me allow you to listen to what Mr. Kashim Shettima said about your candidate. One of the agenda of your candidate is to unite Nigeria. And he was talking about the fractured unity of Nigeria, fixing the fractured unity, restore Nigeria's fractured unity. I'll allow you to listen to him. He criticized and said, look, this is a man who cannot even put his party together, unite his party. How can he be able to unite Nigeria? Take a listen to Kashim Shettima, the vice presidential candidate of the APC.
Leadership goes beyond spewing dubious statistics or basking in a mediocre performance as the governor of Anambra State. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I respect Atiku Abubakar, but leadership goes beyond unstatesman-like rantings, someone who cannot unite his own party. I wonder how he's going to unite this nation.
How do you react to that?
Sharon, thank you for having me. There's one thing that comes across when you engage with the APC intellectually on the streets. It's a sense of anger. It's a sense of pent-up, almost pent-up violence. You heard it in Shettima's language just now, and you've seen it already in my brother here, who launched an almost unprovoked attack on Dele Momodu. And Dele Momodu, who was a presidential candidate. And it's funny when you say, the fact that you've lost an election means you have, no right to speak. One of the people I always speak highly of is Kingsley Moghalu, who literally wrote 2 books in his manifesto when he ran in 2015. So for anyone to come here and dismiss your intellectual contribution just because you lost, I think speaks more to them than to the subject you are speaking to. But, I want to congratulate my brother. they finally have a manifesto out. That's a that's a big achievement, apparently. Atiku and the PDP have had ours out for almost 6 months, so they have some catching up to do. But to speak about 2019, or I mean 2023's manifesto, and that's talking about the APC and their candidate, I think we need to contextualize it.
Just before you go, I mean, I'd like you to respond. I played that for you.
I will.
That your candidate cannot even unite your party, not to talk of uniting Nigeria.
That's easily dealt with. My candidate is the presidential candidate of the PDP. He is not the presidential candidate, and his role, I mean, is not to unify the party. His role is to unify Nigeria. That's what he's running on. We have a national chairman, we have an NWC, who are charged with the day-to-day administration of the party and party management. And any rancor you see within the PDP is about the party's management. It's not about my candidate's bona fides, and it's not about my candidate's ability to unite Nigeria. But again, going back, and I think it's an important point I need to stress here, the APC is not new to Nigerians, and it's not new to Nigerians' electoral space. They presented manifestos in 2015, they failed to deliver. They ran on the plank of the security, economy, and anti-corruption. And on every indices between 2015 and 2019, they dropped from when we handed over to them in 2015, when the PDP handed over to them. And then they ran again in 2019. And again, on every single indices, on insecurity, on the economy, on corruption, on every single indices. We're having record levels of unemployment, record levels of inflation, record levels of insecurity. And it's interesting, they also ran on restructuring. They actually put together a committee that promised to deliver restructuring. And then you showed Shettima speaking, and Shettima also spoke and said, to hell with restructuring. So when you have a party that has for almost 8 years consistently promised and failed to achieve or live up to any single one of their promises, I wonder whether this is just an exercise in futility. What exactly are we debating? Can we take the APC for their word? I don't think we can. I would much rather we focus on the PDP's manifesto and the PDP's record of delivering on promises we make.
All right, so let's get to it. You wanted to react to him, or we should just go ahead?
The thing is, thank God he's talking for the PDP, and I am here on behalf of the APC. The element of governance, vis-a-vis what you promised to do via your manifesto, is a factor to look at closely. He is saying, no, the APC is not ready for this. There was promises made in 2015, promises made in 2019, for which he thinks nothing has been done. I will give you an insight into Nigeria as a member of the global village. We are not in isolation. Whenever anything happens in Nigeria, let us sit back a little bit and take a cursory look at what transpires within the rest of the world. When you're talking about insecurity, it's not just in Nigeria alone, it's all over the world. The name ISWAP means Islamic of West Africa. There is Al-Shabaab in the northeast of Africa. They are all over the place. It's in Middle East, it's even in America. Everybody is being conscious about the insecurity on a global scale. In the case of Nigeria, we are no different. We are managing them, and we are managing them good.
Does this also speak to what you're saying now? Does this speak to the fact that when the PDP has said, look, your party is sort of campaigning against Buhari? When you say renewed hope, for example, where did the hope get missing? You promised change. In 2019, you changed the slogan. Now you say renewed hope. Are you saying that there is a battered hope for Nigeria that you are renewing, or what exactly are you talking about?
Try and understand the element of semantics. Hope, it's a normal phenomenon to every...
I'm talking about the fact that whether or not your party is engaged now in activism against your party on what you have stood for in the last 7 years.
No, because you're banking...
Shall I give you an example?
Go ahead.
Part of what some of your members and leaders have said is that you will fix security in 6 months. So the question is that your president, the president of Nigeria, has about 6 months to go. So why didn't you, if you have the secret of fixing security, why didn't you give the president that secret so that he can solve it? Why wait till after winning the election?
I'll tell you this. When it comes to the element of security, There is one balance there on the street that says, if there are no thieves, the police doesn't have a job. Insecurity is here with us. And we are going to fix it. There are some instances where, as a people, that's one thing I say about Nigerians. When we listen, we don't listen well. When we are looking, we don't look properly. We believe and take everything on the surface. There is a war going on against insecurity. The war is being fought. Our military are there doing their bit. Equipments have been purchased to make sure that this insecurity is lowered. The fight is on. The fight is continuous. Little wonder America wakes up at times and say, hey, there is that element of insecurity. It wasn't thrown at Nigeria alone. It was thrown at a lot of other countries. Because these bad people, they are there on a regular basis. Their belief, their thought pattern is not for peace. Their thought pattern is for insecurity. And honestly, we are doing a good job of fighting insecurity. All we pray for is a continuity along those lines, and we are going to win. And to go back to what you said in terms of, do you mean that there was no hope before, but now that we called it renewed hope? It's a case of semantics. Hope is a normal phenomenon to a normal human being. You need to keep hope alive. Your hope is Nigeria is going to be a better place. We are going to make Nigeria a better place. We are working towards making Nigeria a better place. Nothing.
Can Nigerians believe you this time around on whatever you say you will do?
They will. They will, because of the person.
And I'd like us also to also tell Nigerians, can Nigerians believe it? If your party at some point had come to Nigerians to say, look, we failed you, forgive us. Your chairman has said it. Forgive us, we failed you. Why should Nigerians believe what you're saying now?
Let me respond to that before you let it go. Before you let it go. You were saying, why should Nigerians believe in us? I will tell you one thing. In Yoruba land, thank God you're a Yoruba man. Your name is Sheun. Mine is Bola.
Don't be too sure I'm Yoruba. I'm from Kwara State, from the north central region of the country. Just a joke.
That's the right one. You're Sheun, I'm Bola. He's Ose. For the fact that we have different names means we have different mentalities, different attitudes, different ways of doing things. Little wonder, on our moving forward, we are looking at the man. When you are campaigning, you as a person that is going to be Mr. President, you are campaigning that this is what I am going to do. And when you tell me this is what I am going to do, I'm going to sit back and look at you. What have you done before? It's difficult for a man, a bachelor, to come and advise me what marriage is like.
Better than that of the PDP in terms of what he has done before.
A lot better. Loads better. And I'm saying loads better. Throw any question at me, it's loads better.
All right.
It's
sir.
So let's, again, I don't want to come on television and waste the viewers' time. I don't, it boggles the mind when anybody will sit down and say the security situation has improved. We recently had the Kuje prison jailbreak. We recently had, in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. We recently had the attack on the Brigade of Guards, again in the Federal Capital Territory. We recently saw the evacuation of foreign personnel because of credible security threats, again in the Federal Capital Territory. So for instance, you hear the APC talk about infrastructure. You cannot use the train between Abuja and Kaduna because of insecurity. So how can anybody with a straight face sit down and say that things are better? These things are really, really important to us. These things are literally life and death when we're talking about the fate of the nation. And I take offense slightly when people come and think this is just an attempt to play games or to just show working to whoever their paymasters might be. This is serious. Yes, I concede that we have always had insecurity problems, but then tackle it with innovative solutions. Our Nigerian army is one of the best fighting forces in the world, but they are not trained and equipped to handle domestic insecurity issues, which is what they are currently doing.
So the allegation was that your party failed to equip too.
And that's, let me land, Sean. The Nigerian army is one of the greatest fighting forces in the world. The Nigerian army is currently carrying out domestic policing activities. It is overstretched, it is under-equipped, we don't have the force to carry out all these duties. They are deployed in every single state in the federal, in Nigeria, every single state. And so how do you tackle it? And I want to speak to the manifesto because I've read my friend's manifesto. And how Tinubu wants to tackle it, like they do with most things, is throw more money at it, buy more arms, buy more equipment. Sir, please, let me finish. Like I said, this is serious business. They want to throw more money at the problem. But my candidate in his manifesto says this is a huge problem that we need to tackle in a different way. We need to restructure our security architecture to devolve policing powers, not just to the regions, not just to the states, but even to the local government areas, so that you can have from the local government area to the state level, people tackling these community policing issues. And what that does immediately is free up your armed forces to protect Nigeria's territorial integrity and tackle ISWAP. So there's a clear difference, and I hope, Sean, this evening we focus on the manifestos.
So let me give you a snapshot
on political slogan.
Absolutely. Let's look at it. First and foremost, you see what the PDP says he's going to do, raising the GDP per capita to $5,000 by 2013, creating 3 million new jobs, lifting 10 million poor Nigerians out of poverty yearly. These are some of the things that the PDP says it will do. But how? That's the question. I'm asking you.
Oh, okay. I thought that was rhetorical.
No. The question is, how are you going to achieve that? 3 million new jobs, where are they coming from? The GDP per capita you are going to raise by 2030, how are you going to achieve that? 10 million poor Nigerians to be lifted out of poverty yearly. How are you hoping to achieve that?
Okay, thank you. That's a brilliant question. First of all, I'll speak to my candidate's track record. Remember when we took over from military in 1999, we were literally recording negative GDP. Atiku was the head of the president's economic management team at the time, was head of the Council of Privatization. And within 3 years, between 1999 and 2002 specifically, our GDP hit highest levels we've ever seen. It was 15% in 2002, I think. And then onwards, you then had an average over the PDP span of about 7 or 8% of GDP growth. How we're going to do it? Again, it's not rocket science. We have structural failures within our system, one of which, for instance, is the NNPC and the subsidy payments, which are looking to go up at least 6 trillion if they remain in place next year. We're getting rid of the subsidy payments, and immediately that allows us free up capital to start driving
the
things.
Subsidy will go naturally.
It will not. Who says it will?
I mean, the government of the day said it will go because there is a new law of the PIA.
The president has said that he will remove subsidy after his tenure. If it was so easy to do, he would have done it now. He clearly doesn't have the political will. He's a part of the APC. And I don't like this attempt. You see, it is a subtle attempt to separate the Tinubu and the Tinubu campaign from the APC. They are Siamese twins. They are one and the same. So if one fails, the other has failed.
Are you saying that the APC under Buhari has failed? Is that what you're saying?
Most definitely.
How would you say that?
Again, you know, I like to speak about economics because it's not a subjective matter. It's not my opinion. So if I say, for instance, you know, we are worse off economically, you can look at GDP numbers and say we are worse off now than we were in 2015. And for the viewer at home, if you don't process GDP numbers, you can look at the price of rice. Is it cheaper today than it was in 2015? I'm a builder, so I look at the price of cement. I have clients that I'm telling, you know what, buy things now because in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, prices might rise by 10, 20, 30%. This is simple economics. I'm going back to my manifesto in a minute, but look at what happened, for instance, with this decision by the central bank to change the design of the Naira, and then they set a hard line by January 30th, all old currency is going to go out of circulation, out of use. What immediately has happened is that there has been a rush for FX, and it has driven up the price of FX. So dollars now, I think, was trading last I checked almost 900 Naira to a dollar. It's been projected in the parallel market, and it's projected it will get to 1,000. So this is simple demand and supply. So when you talk about have they failed, Sharon, we can look at inflation, we can look at unemployment, we can look at any single economic indices. Let the APC tell us which one we are better off today than we were in 2015. But you asked a question specifically about how are we going to get jobs done. It simply is by understanding that the center cannot hold. Atiku wants to devolve powers to the states and empower them to drive their economies. We want to, and it's not just academic restructuring, it's also fiscal federalism. So states can then not only generate wealth, but tax that wealth as well. It goes to things like education. Atiku wants to devolve powers from the federal. So states, again, drive their own academic programs, their own prosperity.
Let me bring Mr. Bakari into the conversation. Yes, and I'd like you to respond to it. He said, obviously your party has failed, but you also need to speak to the fact that you said a fourth industrial revolution drive by helping the youth. Beyond the vagueness of that statement, what does it mean? Stop fuel subsidy and increase crude oil production to 2.6 million barrels per day by 2027 and 4 million barrels per day by 2030. Complete critical gas infrastructure projects, including pipeline infrastructure. How would you do that? The question is that there is a huge oil theft. Have you provided gas processing facility to be able to drive this initiative? How?
Good. Before I go into the nitty-gritty of the question you asked, I would like to respond a little bit to what my brother here said in terms of his principle. Now, before we got here in 1999, we did this, we did that. Between 1999 and 2007, Nigeria lost most of all our industries under the privatization that was being headed by Atiku as vice president. Niger Dock, Alscon, most of them were sold. Jobs were lost. Till date, we knew nothing about most of all those companies. And those are companies that Nigeria invested a lot in. Imagine putting 10 naira into a company and you go and sell the company for 1 naira. At what rate? Who are those that benefited from the sale of those federal government institutions and companies? This is a man who sat at the helm of affairs then. Is he going to do the same thing to us again? Surely he will do it. He will do it. But we are not ready for that. And let us go back into the nitty-gritty of what you said, that, okay, you were talking in terms of job creation, fourth industrial. The thing is this. In any economy at all, it is the MSM, the micro, small, and medium industries are the ones that drive an economy. And that is where we are going back into. We are going back to the nitty-gritty. We are making the people benefit from it from the grassroots. Or let's say, from the local government level. Cottage industries are it. If you go into the Western world, I remember those days when we were going to Italy. Most of the shoes we were buying were being made cottage industries. You can find a flat where shoes are being made. In Nigeria, we are moving towards that. Little wonder the Ashiwaju is saying there is going to be an industrial revolution, a fourth industrial revolution, because we are going to pick at it from the basis. From the lowest rank to come bottoms up is what
would be the basis of the revolution? And in every industrial revolution that we have seen in the world, there is the core of that revolution. But for what your party is preaching, the fourth industrial revolution, what would be the core?
The core of our revolution stems from production and looking inwards. Our agric is very, very robust if we give it all the help we can. Little wonder, we have our man who is now at the Africa Development Bank, additional. While he was there, he was bringing our agric to speed by doing basic things, things most people wouldn't think about. The man said, look here, my farmers, my everyday people, I need to get across to them so that they can get fertilizers and go and use in the farms. As elementary as that was then, it achieved what it was going to achieve. If we're talking about industrialization, there are a lot of factors involved because we have to talk in terms of power, which is a driver of the economy. Power will have to be factored into it. You will now tell people, imagine what happened to us during COVID. Most people never believe they can do anything on their own. But I will tell you this, some people survived on the element of COVID, being indoors, they became more innovative. We are going to turn innovation to the people. We are going to back the people to make sure innovation happens. Take, for instance, a case where, okay, for anything that works at all, you need funds to make it work. Part of what Asiwaju is going to do is to make loan easily available to the people. Little wonder we did a few things, right? We had trader money where we gave money to the market women to say, okay, here is money for you.
So you're continuing the trader money and the farmers, all of those, feeding school children and all of those? Are you continuing all of those?
Honestly, our kids in school should go to school. There should be incentives for kids to go to school. We will feed our kids in school.
That will continue.
We will feed our kids in school. We will make sure the number of kids on the street are reduced on a regular basis, and we'll get them back in school.
Mr. Bakare,
give them the incentives.
Yeah, Mr. Bakare,
go ahead.
The question I asked about the fourth industrial revolution that your party has captured in your manifesto.
That's right.
The first, the second, the third industrial manufacturing, the use of the steam and the water, the power, the factory, how those industrial revolutions are developed over the years across the globe. There are pivotal factors driving this revolution. But for the one that the Tinubu and the APC are driving and preaching this time around, what will be at the center of it? What will be, what exactly will it be?
We are going to start from where we are, because you can afford to say, oh, our industrialization is at a low ebb. Agreed. But the thing is, we shall move from where we are with what we have.
With what? Is it going to be technology? With what exactly
will be? For every
industrial revolution has the pivot for it. But what would your own be?
Our industrialization, the fourth one, is going to be people-based.
How?
When I say people-based, the element of you being a producer on your own, being innovative enough to act, and then the government being there to give you a hand. There is no human being.
So you will give loans to those who want to buy cars, those who want to hold on?
Don't even go, if you're talking about cars is a luxury, and at times it is a necessity to some people. But what we do is we conserve the money rather than saying, okay, you want to buy a car of 100 million, you pack 100 million and go there. We reduce the rate. Give the benefit.
What about the purchasing power? Because if you are giving loans to people, how would they be able to pay if the purchasing power is very low?
What you're doing,
if the inflation is very
to
high,
them is the element of not paying in one fell swoop. It happens all over the world. When it comes to mortgage, if you are given a chance to pay for your mortgage in bits, you will own a house. If it's a car you want to purchase for necessity, you will pay at installments. This is the way the whole world is being run. Nobody pays for everything in one fell swoop.
All right, let me go to Ose. Ose, I'd like you to respond to a few things that Mr. Bakare has said. But you talk about electricity, which is a very major criticism of your candidate. And your candidate in the manifesto said they would target 10 megawatts of transmission capacity over the short term and 25,000 megawatts of power generation through a mix of energy sources. So, target. You've put the figure to it. How would you do it? We've not been able to achieve that in all my 4 decades of living. I've not seen that coming alive. How would you do that?
Sean, you know, the last segment was very difficult to watch. Watch my brother struggle to answer a basic question. He probably hasn't read the manifesto. That's why he was struggling with it. He spoke about MSMEs being the driver of the economy. I agree 100%. I agree 100% because it's in our manifesto. That is the core of our push to create jobs and and grow our economy, to recover Nigeria's dignity and dignity from where it is right now. The interesting thing is that, again, because I've studied his manifesto, maybe more than him, is that the core of their economic growth is agriculture, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. But they want to create jobs by hiring or employing millions of Nigerian youths to go to the farm. That's what they want to do. They want to hire millions of Nigerian, I repeat it, Sean, the APC wants to hire millions of Nigerian youths to go to the farm. Why that is a problem is because their own MBS has said that the greatest poverty trap in Nigeria, it's also, interesting enough, the highest employer of labor, is sustenance agriculture. So they want to, you know, on the face of it, say they're going to create 10 million jobs or 20 million jobs, but they are consigning young people to a fate of poverty and impoverishment, because if you give a young person an agricultural job that is at sustenance level, they will never prosper. compare it with our plan, for instance. If we talk about our own fourth industrial revolution and what the core is going to be, our target is, and I'm going to speak about electricity because it forms a critical part of it. We want to make Nigeria the digital capital of Africa. We want to build the greatest digital economy on the continent. And we are doing it by a focus. Remember I said that we're devolving powers to the states when we're talking about education. But we are adapting the syllabus to focus on STEM, on science and technology, engineering and mathematics. And we are going to put money into those fields so that graduates that come out can build that fourth industrial revolution my brother was struggling to explain what it's all about. You spoke about trader money. You know, trader money is something that, you know, it annoys me greatly. At the end of the 2019 elections, the EU put out a report that all these trader money, farmer money, all these other things were institutionalized vote buying schemes. If all of you guys remember, it would be on the eve of any election, you would see the APC roll out and start doling out cash handouts on the eve of elections. So when you hear anybody come out and say that they want to continue those schemes, even though we are bankrupt, we are paying more debt today than we earn as a nation.
So, I mean, because we need to quickly run, you've not touched on electricity.
On electricity, very simple.
The APC had criticized your government on the issue of the $20 billion that had gone into electricity. You know, and you say you're going to construct 5,000 kilometers of modern railways. Are you going to borrow to do that? But I want you guys to spend the last 1 minute per person to speak on the issue of security. Now, the PDP has said that they will hire how many million now? 1 million personnel into the police workforce. How are you going to achieve that? The APC said that they are going to ensure that there will be police reforms. They will be focused on positioning the institution to be better to deliver on its mandate. So how are you going to tackle security? Just
Thank you.
1 minute.
1 minute. Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, there is that element of pedigree and experience. If you take, for instance, what happened in Lagos. Lagos is highly cosmopolitan. It's like the financial capital of Nigeria. When Tinubu was the governor, he knew that security was paramount in Lagos State. And to make this short, he created what we call Rapid Response Squad, which is being copied by all the states in Nigeria. That was his brainchild. That was based on the fact that, look, for the police to be able to do its work, like you rightly said, there is need for better welfare, there is need for logistics. Gone are the days when you say, oh, you call the police station and say, we have no vehicle, we can't move. He was able to do that, and that can be translated on a national level. In terms of our police force, which is the first line of security, the numbers are short. As we as a population, we're going to 200 million. The police force is still abysmal at 300,000. Well, which, if you notice, as we speak, even the president gave an executive order that people should be employed into the ministry, into the police force, at tranches of 10,000. The first tranche of 10,000 is already in. The second tranche is
the 1
on its
minute
way.
for us is here. How do you employ the 1 million? Is it that 1 million now that your party said is going to do 1 million police personnel? That's what he said. Where are you going to get the money from?
So that's easy. And it's a twofold answer. I'll try to answer very quickly. First of all, I think Nigeria is so deeply divided. None of these plans will work if we remain divided. So Atiku's first plan is to unify the nation. When that is done, we can then start talking about the nuts and bolts of the policy. And it's again, I spoke about it earlier, it's restructuring the security architecture, devolving powers to the states and local government areas. So when we talk about the 1 million police personnel, it's to the states and local government areas you're going to see that rush of personnel into those areas. Again, it's important that, you know, when we come to this conversation, we don't just mouth words. You know, have these guys done it before? Have they failed? Can you trust them? I don't think you can. Our manifestos are out there. The scariest document I've ever seen is the APC's manifesto. On the strength of that document alone, I don't think they deserve a shot at the ballot because they'll impoverish and destroy this nation.
All right, we need to go now. Can Nigerians trust Atiku Abubakar?
Yes, they can.
Can Nigerians trust Tinubu?
100%.
I mean, how am I surprised? Am I surprised?
No, don't be surprised.
Your answers are
look.
But the question is that Nigerians know the answer.
Very quickly,
Whether or not they can trust
in 1995, Atiku was part of the Constitutional Conference at the time, and he was pushing for restructuring even as far back as then. He is the most consistent candidate.
Right.
He is not pandering to the gallery.
Yeah.
Nigerians can trust him.
Just leave Nigerians in the hands of Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2023.
Bola Bakari, a
Yes.
member of the APC PCC, thank you so much. And also Anani, a member of the PDP PCC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
It was a
That's
pleasure.
And having this
Thank you.
intellectual conversation.
Thank you.
That's about it for tonight, everyone. It's Friday. I don't know what you're having planned for your weekend, but I guess mine is going to be spent doing some rest and some academic work. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you again on Sunday at 8 p.m. It's bye for now. And God bless Nigeria.